Hello, everybody, and welcome to Zelda Matters, the live stream call-in show where you guys get to decide the topics. So you can actually join this stream with myself, Ombre de Mundo, and my co-host, Alex Rosenberg. Welcome.
Hello.
And how this works is in the YouTube description, you will find a link. You'll find a link to our control room. You'll go there, talk to our gatekeeper, Joshua, and he will patch you through here. If you'd rather leave text questions, you can do that, of course, in the YouTube comments. And you can also tweet at us using the hashtag Zelda Matters. And we'll talk about your questions or topics. So we're gonna start here by talking about Majora's Mask 3D.
Ooh, yes.
I think this is a pretty popular topic, obviously, since it was announced not too long ago. So let's see here. Who was asking this? Was it Hohenfire from Twitter? Who asks, talk about Majora's Mask remake and how you think it's going to play on the 3DS. And then likewise, we get another question from Nardog, who asks, what do you think Nintendo meant by people who play Majora's Mask on the new 3DS differs from the regular 3DS? And I actually had to go look up some quotes because I had not heard about this well, I probably did hear about it, but it kind of slipped my mind. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I mean, from what I've been hearing about the new 3DS is just its faster processing. So I feel like the only major benefit would be it look really nice on the new 3DS. I mean, if there were some extra little bits and pieces that were thrown in that were accessible on the new 3DS, I guess it would be kind of cool, but I don't know how you'd be able to do that. So
I mean, it's going to be the same cartridge.
Yeah.
Regardless, so there's not going to be.
There's not a whole lot you can do.
Right. There's not going to be any new content or anything, but the new 3DS does have 2 shoulder buttons and a kind of C stick.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they might use because, I don't know. I honestly, confession, I guess, I have not played Ocarina of Time 3D.
Really?
No, I haven't.
When I got the 3DS, that was one of the games I had to get, and now I have difficulty going back to the N64 version because the 3DS version is so nice and fast, and the water temple is like 1,000 times easier.
All right, good to know, I guess. But okay, so what I do see is that I know that in the original N64 you used the C buttons for item selection, but then in the Ocarina of Time 3D version you used other buttons. So I'm thinking they might have done something with the C stick to maybe have a quick selection for different items or something like that.
Yeah, when they did it for the 3DS, from my knowledge, and I'm looking at my 3DS button so I know, the Y button, the X button, and I think... No, not the R button, but it was definitely the Y and X button, and then I think there was one that was touchscreen only. Okay. And I thought that worked just fine.
Okay, so those are things, I mean, with new buttons on the new 3DS, those are things that we can expect to see change. Maybe other functions as well. So maybe you have on the new 3DS, maybe you have all your masks automatically assigned to some of the buttons, or maybe actually the C stick, where you can assign like only masks. So you can have your regular items on the regular buttons, just like you have in Ocarina of Time 3D. But then on the C stick, you can have masks transformations. So
that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I mean, I have very little idea of what they're planning on doing with it. So I mean, it's an interesting idea because that reminds me of how items sort of work in the Link Between Worlds, where you can kind of just scroll through on the touchscreen to like the certain items that you wanted. Like maybe you could scroll through using the C stick, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure, but I'm excited to find out. I like the new 3DS as a console, so
Yeah,
I guess we have to wait
I'm
and see.
willing
And
to shell out the money
yeah,
to get that next.
and we
So
don't know when that console is going to be released, so it's possible that they might want to bundle it. So
I wouldn't mind.
we're gonna go ahead here with another question. This is Celes Renja. So, you have an impronounceable name, Celes.
Celis
Please
Renga?
talk about the new Zelda for Wii U. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna recommend you to look at our YouTube channel, Zelda Universe TV. We had a gameplay demo analysis where we spent like half an hour analyzing every single little bit of the gameplay demo that was recently shown. Um, and people seem to like that analysis, so I'm gonna recommend you to look at that. But other than that, Alex, I don't think you've spoken a lot on the matter of Zelda U or Zelda Wii U. Call it whatever you want. What do you call it?
I call it Zelda U until they give me a legit title. It's easier for me to pronounce or just say. I mean when I hosted Zelda Matters a couple of weeks ago and I talked, I'm very interested to see where all that goes. And since that, because that was like before Thanksgiving, then we got that gigantic demo, which I absolutely loved watching because some of the elements that they've done, like the slow motion effect when you're riding, when you can like shoot on your horse without having to worry about controlling Epona, that I think is going to be very cool. It'll be interesting to see how that goes into more combat options, especially because, the world now is huge, so you can go access all this other stuff, and I'm wondering how that's going to come into play. Also, they mentioned that to go from one place to another place was like 7 minutes, which worries me just a bit because that to me seems way more of Skyrim level, which scares me because that's a
Well,
little too much for my for me to handle.
okay. I like it. I think most people like it. Most people are excited. I think you're in the minority.
Well,
Um,
the reason why I'm in the minority about that is because for Skyrim, for me, I mean, the open world thing for me is just because I think of Skyrim, and Skyrim was such a hour-killing game that one, I didn't have the time for it. Two, I knew if I got into it, there would be no turning back, and I don't know how many hours I would have spent in that game. So I tried to avoid it for
well,
that
isn't
reason.
that the? I mean, that's the point, right? So you
I
wanna
guess,
spend time
but
on it.
well, mm, I don't want to feel like I'm always playing this game and like doing so much of a time sink. Because I feel
Okay,
like
well,
there's so much to do and I don't know how much to do all that stuff. I like not being overwhelmed by too many quests.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, we don't know how many quests they're going to be, or even what the quest will look like. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people are expecting something like Skyrim-esque, where you walk around and it's like, oh, here's a cave, and you go in and you find a bunch of bokoblins or whatever. And I think that's very, very
and it'll be
likely to be the
cool.
case.
Yeah, and I will definitely buy the game and play it because
Of course you will.
just yeah, because I mean one, Zelda, hello. And two, I love the art style of that game. I from the E3 trailer, I fell in love with that art style. Link looked amazing. Um,
Okay, so let's talk about that because we do have. Let's see here. We do have a Twitter question that asks, can we just talk a little bit about how the new Legend of Zelda game looks in the trailer? It looks kind of futuristic in my opinion. So that's not really about the art style. That's more so, well, I mean, the art style. Yeah, you're right.
it's a
It does
bit
look
of it.
good. I I I did not like Link's particular look with the
Really?
way they shown it in the E3 trailer. Yeah, I don't know. He just looked kind of bland, but I'm sure they'll fix it up a little bit. I don't know. It just looked weird. Um,
Huh.
but what do you think about the commentary that this was Landon who asked this, that it
About it
kind of
being
looks
like
futuristic? And I'm pretty sure they're referring to the shiny, explosive, mechanical arrows and the octopus monster that kind of looked like one of those anime-esque octopus robots.
Okay. I had to quickly go on Google and look this up because I just look exactly what it looks like. Um, well, the arrows were super cool. I loved those. The enemy, I mean, yeah, it does look way more futuristic than it does in like Skyward Sword, which I like. It's kind of got a little bit of the mix of the future part of the shift zone um, part of that game, which I thought was a really cool mechanic. With it's like a mix between the two, and I like that. I like that kind of style. It's interesting to see where they'll go with this, and
Hmm.
I have really no formal complaints about it. I think it looks fine. And I mean, when I saw Link in the trailer, my first response was just, "Oh my God, that looked cool." So, I mean, I was like totally into it.
Yeah, I remember we were looking when we saw the trailer. So this is important, I guess. Just the first impression that you got. And I'm gonna get into a little bit of a tangent here, but that's fine. Before I get into my tangent, though, I want to remind everyone who is watching this live that you are able to actually join us on this stream. Come on, talk to us, ask us questions. There is a link in the YouTube description. You click that link, you get patched through to Joshua, our gatekeeper, and he'll patch you through here. You can also leave us text questions in the YouTube comments, or you can go on Twitter and tweet at us using hashtag Zelda Matters. All right, so ranting time.
Go on.
Nintendo has had, how should I put this? Nintendo has had a very mixed record of their marketing. So they've done some really genius things. I think they pulled off their last E3 really great. They were live streaming throughout the entire show, bringing on news after news after news. And they had the whole like robot chicken style presentation for
Oh,
the
I love
stream, which
that.
was great. They're great at kind of collaborating and working with their with their fans to kind of celebrate their franchises. So what they did when they had the Zelda show, I personally, we all knew it was coming, right? Because they said so. So they had the Legend of Zelda, and they had the sort of a theme song playing. And then instead of showing us this really cool trailer, Anuma pops up, and he's like, "Hey, this is the new Zelda game. Looks beautiful, doesn't it?" It's like, "Oh yeah, that looks kind of cool." And then he talks about it for a minute, and it's like, "This is a really big world. You can walk over there, and over there, and over." It's
Very specifically ranting.
yeah. And then they kind of show off the whole thing with the octopus chasing Link and stuff like that. So the first impression was like, okay, that's what it looks like, and I guess that's Link. It kind of looks cool, but I don't know really what to make of it. And then the cutscene starts, and it looks pretty cool. And it's like when you saw Link, drag off his hoodie, and you saw what it looked like. It's like, it looks. I mean, I'm talking about his character design here. His character design was okay, but nothing more really. And I think that's just mainly I just think they need to fine tune the visuals and the character design a little bit. They did this for Midna. If you go back and look at the original trailer where Midna showed up for the first time, and then how she looks in the final game, she does look a bit different. So it's very possible that they might change Link's design, but it's just they didn't blow me away with it. And they didn't with Skyward Sword either. Skyward Sword, same thing. They had kind of Link show up and they showed a bit of gameplay. That was a better reveal, but they didn't really create any hype with it. But Twilight Princess, on the other hand, I don't know if you were around back then, Alex. Do you remember when
I
Twilight Princess was announced and people freaked?
I do, and people flipped out.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done that if they had gone with Link riding in a big open world. and you kind of saw the gameplay of him jumping off the saddle and shooting little creatures and gliding around and just scaling mountains. And then at the very end, maybe having walked down a cave with a torch or something, and then it just fades, and it's like Legend of Zelda. I'm just coming up with this as I go. But I feel like they could have done something much better to represent the game. Both, not visually it's the same, but sort of the narrative, the theme of the game could have been better done. So.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. I think in terms of the pacing, primarily, I feel like it might have been beneficial to have the gameplay stuff for Zelda U first and then have Enuma talk about it. Because
yeah, exactly.
I think that would have been better, because I think having it the other way around was like, oh, okay. Whereas like what they did with the reveal for Majora's Mask 3D was they started with exactly what we wanted, and then they talked about it.
Yeah,
I
and
think
they even...
It's more of a reaction.
And they even started with, you just saw this kind of wheel spinning, and at first I was like, wait, is this Majora's Mask? And you sort of looked at it, and you kind of recognized the music a little bit, but you weren't sure. So they started off with this kind of mystery opening where you weren't entirely sure that it was Majora's Mask, but then you see the clock tower, and you're like, it is Majora's Mask, yes!
When I saw the clock tower in the little sewer area, that was when I was like, oh man, this is it. This is legit. This is happening. Oh god. Yes!
Yeah.
That
but
was
you still
the moment.
have that kind of... They were still sort of building up suspense a little bit.
Yeah. I mean...
It would have been different. It would have been different if someone came out and be like, hey, look at this. This is Majora's Mask. I'm running around, and this is just like the N64 game. It's not as cool or whatever, but I think they, for what it's worth with Zelda U, they made up with it with what they showed us at the awards show, because so many great things.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really hard to figure out what's the best way of doing things in marketing or trying to make anything look interesting. Especially because the longer you're just talking about something and not showing, it sometimes can drag, and people just like, get on with it. So that's a really hard line to balance, and it must be very tough. So I don't give them too much slack for that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to another topic. Do you have another topic? I don't think we have any more Twitter questions, but we do have a guest incoming here to save the day. It's Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey. So my question for this week is, what do y'all want to see in Zelda Wii U?
What do y'all want to see?
Oh, you're making fun of me.
Yes, I am.
I don't care.
Wow.
Okay. Alex, you go first.
Oh, jeez. So, what do I want to see? I would love to see more, just, like,
Okay, you're taking too much time.
Trying to think of where
I'm gonna go.
You go first. I don't have thoughts
That's
yet.
fine.
You go.
All right, so I'm gonna say basically two things. I want to say that first of all, we talked about this a lot in the gameplay demo analysis that we did. And me and Humulos, we talked about how if you have these areas, special areas, in which you'll find enemies. As you saw when they were running around, there weren't any enemies until they approached some weird-looking structures, and sure enough, there were enemies there, which leads us to believe that there might be only specific areas in which you can find enemies. And what would be really cool and what I would love to see is that the dungeons in this game are just hidden somewhere in those areas. Because in games these days, and I'm just going to back to Skyward Sword because that's the best example, you talk to a character and they're like, oh, come this way, Link. There's a little cutscene. Oh, look, here's the temple. You must go in there to find me some water so I can, be healed again, because I'm the worst dragon ever. and that's like, okay, there's a dungeon. And then 5 pops up, like, Master, I recommend we go into the dungeon. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. But in the original Legend of Zelda, and also a bit, in A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds also, the dungeons, they were just kind of around, and you had to find them for yourself. But in the original Legend of Zelda, it was even... there weren't big, grand structures. They were most often just holes in the ground, and you go in and you find these hidden dungeons. I'm not saying that we can't have large, intimidating structures, because I like those. But wouldn't it be cool if you're just walking in the forest and then you saw this cave, and next to the cave were 2 like statues depicting like a bunch of snake heads, which is maybe one of the bosses. And you go in, and it's like, oh, what is this? And you go in, and it's like, wow, this is the dungeon. This is
like
incredible.
opening this Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, so that's what I really want to see. That would really take the series back to its roots in a way, and improve on a lot of things. Second, and this is only for a personal wish. I want Blue Pig Ganon.
Blue Pig Ganon?
Yes, because he's never been in a 3D game, and he should be. He should be.
I guess he hasn't, has he?
No, we haven't. I mean, technically, he was 3D rendered in A Link Between Worlds, but he wasn't really a.
It's
Yeah,
still
he
that
wasn't
same
really a
design,
boss,
though.
Yeah.
But not full 3D.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you go.
Me or Amanda?
I don't know. You decide.
I'll
Amanda.
go. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just go.
Amanda.
Alrighty.
Okay,
Yes.
Amanda, go.
Okay, I mean, I love your idea of the dungeons, Ombre. I had not even thought of that, but that would be really cool. I just really want to see more character development. I like to have a reason. What I loved about Skyward Sword is that Link had a reason to go after Zelda other than the fact that, oh, he's just the brave hero. There were actual things at stake there that were personal to him as opposed to just saving Hyrule. So,
Okay, I'm gonna disagree slightly here,
okay.
and that's because I don't know. I got tired of the kidnapping story. In Wind Waker, it worked fine, and then in Twilight Princess, I don't know what they did in Twilight Princess. Like, okay, so they had this. If you remember in Twilight Princess, Link was gonna deliver a sword to Hyrule. But then Ilya and is it Colin, I think?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I think so.
They got kidnapped,
Right.
which rendered my previous reason to go to Hyrule useless, and now I have to chase after them. But then I just got dragged in there and trapped. So then the kidnapping reason kind of flew out the window also. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
I just
so
want the characters. I mean, I just want the characters to have more depth to them and Link.
yeah,
to have
no, I know
But
what you mean.
what you're saying. I get what you're saying also, and that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm also going to agree with you when I say I don't want it to be where just Link wakes up and then he hears a voice and says, Link, you are the chosen one. You must now go on your quest. And Link's like, okay.
Sounds like a lot of Link to the Past.
That's real. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
actually
doesn't
have
work.
to agree with Amanda's thought, actually, about what I would like, because I'm a type of gamer that really values having character development. I like being able to really get behind some of these characters. And so, Skyward Sword, I really love the relationship that Link and Zelda had. I really liked
Yeah.
it, because in Twilight Princess, Zelda was just kind of like, here is a thing.
She was
But
so stoic. She was just totally stoic.
No,
in
she
Twilight
no,
Princess.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
it
she
was a little
would,
weird.
but
It was a
I get
little
what you
weird.
mean because the personal relations in Skyward Sword were great. I mean, as much as we make fun of that game, mainly for Fi, the character development in that game was great. So we have our gatekeeper Joshua here, who wants to.
Yeah, I had to
comment
jump in on
something.
this question. I'm going to be controversial. In the new Zelda
boy.
game, I want two things. I want non-Four Swords co-op, and I want voice acting.
I agree with voice acting. I agree with voice
That'll be
acting.
interesting.
Long overdue. Every other modern game, even the ones Nintendo makes, have voice acting. There is no reason left for there to not be voice acting in The Legend of Zelda. I don't care if Link talks. Link doesn't have to talk, but everyone else ought
Right.
to.
Link should talk though.
No. All right,
And
we're
I
gonna
want,
make
I want
this
there
quick.
to be I want there to be a sidekick that's not a fairy and not Tingle or anything like that. Imps. I want a real sidekick who can do all the stuff Link can do for a second player to play.
Okay. You just brought up too many points for us to discuss before we run out of time. But we're gonna do our very best. Thanks, Josh. All right. So on the voice acting, I totally agree that that everyone but Link and I don't know, maybe the villain, whoever it is, maybe Ganon. If it's Pig Ganon, he doesn't have to talk, so that works. Metroid Prime 3 pulled it off amazingly. If you haven't played Metroid Prime 3, well, first off, go play it, because it's an amazing game. It's basically Zelda in space with guns.
No, I wouldn't say that.
What could go wrong?
But it's still a good game.
But basically, everybody talks except Samus. So Samus doesn't talk, but everyone else does. And they pull it off really good. And that is the game that made me think, if Metroid can do it, Zelda can do it. So that's where I stand on voice acting. I don't think Link should have a voice, because no.
I just think there's a lot of questions that raise from Link having a voice. But yeah, you do bring up a good point. Like, the other game that has a silent protagonist, Half-Life, Portal, all games that are incredibly good. So, there's I could see it. I don't know how it works in a third-person perspective, but it would be very good.
All right. We're going to just address quickly also the co-op mode. I haven't thought about that in quite a while. I did a while back. I did think about it a lot, but I haven't thought about it in a while. I would love to see a two-player co-op. So maybe someone, bring Midna back. You can have one player doing Midna and one player doing Link. Or
how about a new character?
I mean, I'm just saying Midna because it's easier to imagine.
We already got two Midna playable characters, and they're both in Hyrule Warriors.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Let's bring in a new character whose name is Twinkie, and it's a little bird.
Twinkie the bird. Beautiful.
And Twinkie flies around and picks things up and gives them to Link, and then can also drop rocks on enemies from the sky, kind of like the Tingle Tuner.
Kind of like a beetle and a boomerang put together.
Yeah, something.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So that's okay. Yeah. All right. All right. We are pretty much out of time, but before we go, we are going to have one more question, and I've been talking a lot now, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys.
Okay.
What will be in the Majora's Mask Hyrule Warriors DLC? This is from Cherubic Cherry, I think, on Twitter. So what do you think will be in the Majora's Mask DLC for Hyrule Warriors?
I would love to be able to see like a playable Majora. That would be cool.
Wait, are you talking about the actual Majora?
Yeah.
Like Majora's Wrath?
Yeah, or something that has like a playable thing with the Majora thing. Wrath, the mask on Skull Kid. If it's someone that got the mask on, I'm into it. That would be cool.
Yeah,
and maybe Fierce Deity costume. Fierce Deity costume would be cool.
I think that's a given.
Yeah, I feel that will be a thing that will happen.
Yeah, I think Skull Kid is what most people want to see, and what's probably gonna happen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what his attacks are.
Yeah, but there are also other things, like we could see Deku Link or Sora Link or Goron Link, or
that's true.
Maybe or Tingle.
Tingle.
Let the nightmares
maybe
begin.
Costume. Oh,
but I mean, why not Tingle?
He is quite terrifying, so I guess you could use that as an attack method.
I mean, if here's the thing: if Agatha can be in the game, then anyone can be in the game.
That is true.
That's true.
Agatha's in
That
the
is
game.
true.
So Kindle has possibility because Agatha was just like a side character in Twilight Princess.
I had totally forgoten about Agatha. She
Just
was
because
not-
no
I was
one
like,
likes
about.
Agatha.
When I first saw her in game, I was like, "Who are you?" And then I was like, "Oh, you're that person?
Yeah.
Okay."
I'm gonna recommend people to watch. Let's see, random encounters.
Oh my God! Yeah, they did a really good one.
They did a video, a sort of a musical about Hyrule Warriors. So I recommend you to look that one.
Oh, that was great. I love that video.
Yeah. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, Zelda fans of all ages, we are signing off for the year. We'll be back again on, I think it is January 7.
Ooh.
We'll be back by then, so make sure to tune in for the next Zelda Matters episode. We're doing Zelda news, right, Amanda, for one more week?
Yeah, this Sunday, I believe, is the last Zelda news of the year, and then we start back that Sunday right after the first Zelda Matters. So I think it's like the 11th of January.
Yeah, probably something like that. It's a long time. So we'll see all you guys in 2015, though don't unsubscribe to the channel just yet, because we do have a few videos coming out during the holiday seasons, because we like you. We want to give you Christmas gifts.
Yeah, we like you.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and thanks for your questions. We'd love to see more of them next time, and until then, I'm Amardimundo, your one and only man of world. With me today was Alex Rosenberg. Guesting us, Amanda. Twitter questions, all of you guys. Thank you. See you next time.
See ya.
Over now.
Bye.